Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Mr. Ad316. I am back on YouTube. I'm here to make the Q&A video that I announced about 3 weeks ago. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for giving me all your questions. For those of you who I can't answer the questions of, I apologize. I'm just trying to do as much as I can, and I even have my list right here. So, all right. So let's begin. First question is from Junior Rocks 2012. His question is, do you think WWE will ever make a DVD called The History of the WWE, where they go over from the 1950s to present and the future of the WWE? Well, that's a good question, Junior Rocks. I doubt it because, there's a lot to talk about in the history of the WWE. I mean, you gotta talk about how the company started as WWF, where it was just a regional promotion, and Vince McMahon Sr. was owning it at the time, and then Buddy Rogers, he won the first WWE title in the company. Then you had Bruno Sammartino, then you had Killer Kowalski, then you had guys like Gorgeous George, all those guys coming in, and they basically start the company off skyrocket. And then you go on to the Vince McMahon era, the Junior era, where everything becomes a global phenomenon from the 80s, where Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Macho Man Savage, Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, they come in and they establish this organization. They don't establish. They enhance it and make it better. And then you go onward to the 90s era, where the torch has been passed to Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels. The Rockers are Mr. Perfect, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. It just goes on and on. And then you go into the Attitude Era, where Stone Cold takes the lead, along with The Rock and Triple H, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian. The list goes on and on. Then you go to the Ruthless Aggression era. Then you go to the PG era. Then the current WWE product that we see today. And then talk about the future. So it's a lot to talk about in a 3-disc set, and that's why they should, if they would make a DVD out of it, they should probably have separate volumes for each era. The first volume can be the pre-WWE era, where they talk about how it developed, and the first decade of that organization, and then they can talk about the next organizations. I mean, the next decades in the next volumes. Have 4 volumes, total. So that would be very interesting to see, and I'm glad you asked something on that. Anyways, Rockstar8381 asks, how did you get more people to subscribe to you on YouTube? Any advice? Well, the thing is, you gotta have to make videos that people are interested in to watch. You just can't make a video on something that you think is interesting, but yet other people won't think it's interesting. This other day I made a video on, I don't know, I think it was my DVD collection or something like that, and one YouTuber commented that he was fed up with the fact that I keep repeating videos on my DVDs. But the thing is, I don't do it on certain people. I do it on a majority of people, what they like. And a majority of you guys love to see my DVD collections, love to see my thoughts on my DVDs and this and that. So that's why I make more videos on my DVDs. That's what gets me a little bit more subscribers and more views. So you have to find out something that you have that may seem very interesting to the YWC, and just show it on YouTube, and even advertise it. That's the most important thing. I remember when I first started back 3 years ago, I went to every single channel. I asked people to sub me. Even though that was annoying, it actually kind of worked during the first few weeks. Afterwards, I asked people, I was like, check out my videos. I asked some of the most important YWC members, like Assault and Battery, Gemini, Stevie Breach. I asked all these people, watch my videos, look at my DVD collection. And, eventually some of them watched my DVD collection, and I even got them to subscribe to me. So it's a very important thing that you have to advertise yourself. That way you will show yourself to the internet. Otherwise, the internet will never find you. You just have to let yourself out. That way they can find you. It's kind of like what Zack Ryder did. You know, he was very unknown. He was hidden, and all of a sudden he just showed his talent on YouTube, advertised himself a bit, and that's what got him the little push that he had back in 2011 and 2012 in the WWE. So that's the same thing what you got to do. Just advertise yourself and do something that other people will be interested in. So that's the most important thing to remember. And he also asks, are you happy that RVD is coming back to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view this year? Yes, I'm very happy. I think it's a great idea to bring one of the old-timers back, especially since, you know, the roster is well-developed now. You got a well-developed tag team division. You have a well-developed mid-card division. You know, you have a great United States champion. You have a great Intercontinental champion right now. I like the way WWE's going. And now they're bringing back RVD. They can do so much with him. They can have him enter the Money in the Bank ladder match. Have him do some high spots there. That can easily sell the pay-per-view without a doubt. At SummerSlam, he can have a match with any current roster. You know, have a rivalry with somebody. Even have people, you know, win matches, and he can literally solidify other people's careers. He can even solidify his own career by having him win some of the mid-card titles back. You know, he could win the IC title back, or he could be the United States champion. You may never know. Or you can even turn him as a heel, which I highly doubt, and, you know, have him join Paul Heyman into this, you know, this clique of the Paul Heyman guys, along with Brock Lesnar and Curtis Axel. So you can do a lot with Rob Van Dam, which is why I'm so happy that he's coming back. Do you have any he also asked, do you have Xbox 360? No, I don't have Xbox 360. Alright, John Laurinaitis, he asks, what's your favorite Family Guy character? That's easy for me to say that my favorite Family Guy character is none other than Peter Griffin. He's the funniest character in the show, in my opinion. He's basically what makes me watch the show every single night. I even start collecting their DVDs, you know, the seasons. So it's just funny to watch Peter Griffin. And but if I would have to add two more characters on my top 3 list, it would be Brian and Stewie. That's basically it. So I'm a sucker for the main characters. They're like awesome. And I heard that Cleveland was your favorite. Well, he's also pretty funny too. So, and plus he has his own show, so you can always enjoy Cleveland on the Cleveland Show and focus on Family Guy in separate ways. So yeah. Next is from Eric Barroso. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. He asks, what's your favorite wrestler in current WWE in 2013? Alright, so who's your favorite wrestler in 2013? Right now I would say CM Punk. Definitely. I mean, I would say Chris Jericho or RVD because he's coming back, or even Brock Lesnar. But the thing is, I consider them as I put them in the category of all time because they're kind of like legends. In the current roster, I would say CM Punk is my favorite. Alright, JC Nation 131, he has several questions to ask, and I have several answers to respond. First is, do you have any Blu-rays? No, I don't have any Blu-rays, and I'm planning not to get any because, well, I don't like the cases. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, see, the thing is, the one thing that kind of inspired me to collect DVDs is the cases. They just look very attractive, and they just look fancy, you know, and the Blu-ray cases look really ridiculous, and it's, I don't know, I'm just not a huge fan, but I guess someday I will start collecting, but as for now, no. And he also asks, being the Cena fan that I am, or he is, what are your thoughts on him? Well, I've had a lot of people ask me about John Cena in particular. I used to be a fan of it as well, so I know where you're coming from. I used to admire his character, his will, his passion to compete in the ring every single night. The one thing I have to say about Cena in a positive manner is that he devotes his whole life to professional wrestling. He makes sure that he represents the typical guy, the image that the WWE must have. You know, they've had champions that fit the image of a good guy, and that fit the image of a guy that kids can depend on, you know, as role models. You know, Hulk Hogan's a good example. You know, he used to, give advices to people. You know, drink your vitamins. You know, take your vitamins, drink your milk. Stay away from drugs, this and that, all that crap. You know, that was a perfect babyface of the company. And then you have John Cena. He's the same exact thing. He's clean. He doesn't take any drugs. He's not an alcoholic that I know of. And he's a great guy, all in all. You know, you see him in the Make-A-Wish Foundation every single time. You see him winning awards for having the most, for completing the most, responding to most requests by children or people with mental disabilities. So you got to give credit to Cena. He's a very hard worker, and he is a typical babyface. So no matter how much I despise some of his working ethics in the WWE, you know, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that he has been the babyface for the past almost 10 years, you know, and, no, more actually, exactly 10 years, and, the fact that he hasn't been really showing us the interesting side of John Cena over the past years. I mean, I kind of want to see him, I don't want to see him turn into a heel, but at least have him change a bit. I mean, have him change his stable, have him change his gimmick a little, because I'm getting sick and tired of it. I mean, that's the only downfall to his career, and other than that, he's an alright guy. So yeah, that's that. But I'm not a Cena fan. That's what I have to tell you right now. What are your thoughts on Daniel Bryan? He is the new Chris Benoit today. He is the Chris Benoit of this era. They're both similar in styles, and I'm a huge fan of Daniel Bryan. He is a pretty good wrestler. He's a really good wrestler. Probably one of the top three in the current roster today, along with Dolph Ziggler and CM Punk. Great wrestler. And who is your current favorite wrestler? I've already answered that question, I believe. Yeah, I have. But my current favorite wrestler is CM Punk. Alright, let's go back. Let's see who else. Austin316 fan 1996 asks, what do you think about Brock Lesnar facing CM Punk at Money in the Bank? Well, I think that would be an awesome idea. I mean, now that on Raw they had Brock coming out and doing the F5 on CM Punk, I think that's a perfect face turn for CM Punk, and I think they can have a great match, a 5-star match in the next pay-per-views. But I don't think it would be a good idea if you have it on Money in the Bank, because let's think business-wise. You can always have it extend to SummerSlam, the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. That can easily be the main event, and then, you know, in that 2-month gap, you can always promote the match and promote the company itself. You know, you can always have advertisements about it. You can sell a lot, especially on views for pay-per-view and episodes of Raw. It will be very good for the business. I remember they did the same thing with the Triple H and Brock Lesnar thing. You know, they had, I think it was No Way Out when they announced that Triple H wanted a match with Brock Lesnar. It took 2 months for the match to actually happen. And they've been promoting it pretty well. They've been building it up, and they were spicing it up. That way people will be so excited to watch. So it's a great move. I totally agree with Brock Lesnar facing Punk, but I would say that they have to have a match at SummerSlam, not Money in the Bank. Favorite Paul Heyman guy? I don't know about that, because there's been a lot of Paul Heyman guys, from RVD to CM Punk to Brock Lesnar to The Big Show. So there's a lot. But I would say Brock Lesnar. The reason why, because Brock Lesnar since day one was with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman is what made Brock Lesnar today. All of his successes, started from Paul Heyman, so you have to give Paul Heyman some credit for that. And without Paul Heyman, Brock probably wouldn't be where he's at today. I mean, let's not forget his own talent. He is very talented, but the thing is, he needed a little extra guidance from somebody. That way he could be the next big thing, and that was Paul Heyman, who guided him towards that path. So I think that Brock Lesnar was an ideal image of a Paul Heyman guy, which is why I choose Brock Lesnar as my favorite Paul Heyman guy. And what's your thoughts on the current situation of the WWE? Well, I think that in the early year of 2013, WWE wasn't really progressing from its originality of 2012. Like in 2012, it's been getting very good. It was really good, but then all of a sudden they kind of went down in value. They went wrong in some ways for some reason, and then they kept going in 2013, and I was not interested. You know, WrestleMania was a big letdown for me. You know, I was expecting WrestleMania 29 to be very significant, but it was really, really, it was really shameful to watch. That's what I have to say about WrestleMania 29. But I liked how they tried to raise it again. They made it better. You know, they've been changing situations around. I mean, they have 3 character turns in less than a week. I mean, Dolph was a face. Dolph had a face turn. Has a face turn now. Alberto Del Rio is turning heel. CM Punk's turning face. Wow, and they did it all in one night, perfectly. You know, Payback was probably the saving pay-per-view of the year, probably the pay-per-view that saved WWE from its downfall. And you know, I like the direction they're heading. You know, the Shield's holding all the titles, which is a great idea. They can add some prestigiousness into the titles. Curtis Axel's the IC champion. That's a great idea. He could enhance his own career, have him move forward, and have him build up some credibility on the title. Have him have some rivalries with some other stars like The Miz or Wade Barrett or any mid-carder. It would be awesome. Even Chris Jericho. It would be a great match to see. Divas division, I think they're improving little by little because they gave the belt to AJ, and they've been building a storyline with AJ and Caitlyn. But the only difference is Caitlyn is not doing much better for the storyline. She's just basically botching everything she's supposed to do. I mean, let's just face it, she's just a terrible actor. She's not that much of a good wrestler, and I mean, looks is not the only thing that makes a diva so well known and so magnificent. It's also, you know, the talent. You know, Caitlyn, I'm not saying she's not talented, but she's just lacking in a lot of aspects that makes a diva very, very talented or significant. So, but other than that, I'm not complaining about anything because WWE's been slowly increasing their interests, and you know, RVD's coming back, and they're teasing a lot of great stuff going on. So this summer is going to be a great summer for the WWE, so that's for sure. And if I were TNA, I would probably like move as far away from WWE. You know, hell no, I'm not going to compete with that. So yeah. Now, YWCification asks, what's your favorite match of all time? Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 12. And do you collect any other DVDs besides wrestling? Yes, I do. I collect CSI DVDs. Only the Las Vegas version. I don't like Miami or New York. They're just really cheesy compared to the original CSI. So I have seasons 1 to 10 or 1 through 11 of CSI. And as for others, I have horror movies. I collect some other miscellaneous stuff like movies and all that stuff, and Family Guy, and then wrestling. So that's basically it. And okay, Macho Man 4816 asks, how did you get your black belt in Taekwondo? It's a long story, but I'm gonna make it short as possible. I got my high red belt a few months before, and basically a high red belt is a red belt with a black stripe across it, which signifies that you are ready to be a black belt. You just have to go through this kind of like an initiation in order to get into the black belt test. It was like a competition. There was like 15 of us, I believe, or a dozen of us. I don't remember, but you know, my master used to make me do like a lot of different physical workouts, like 1,000 jump ropes nonstop, run 50 miles in that 3-month period that we had in order to prepare for the black belt test. Either it was 50 or 60 miles, I don't remember. What else? Do 400 sit-ups, 250 push-ups. What else? And then we had to go through this proper dieting schedule. You know, she would actually even check us on our diet, see how close our how close we were to our diet. Whether we were responsible enough to eat the right food or not, because that was one major thing. She would ask our parents, are they eating the proper food? And our parents had to sign yes, they have. And so yeah, that was another thing to prepare for the black belt test. Then we had to go through all this, like the moves that we had to memorize, the sequences of the moves that we had to memorize for the forms and self-defense, and basically we had to be physically shaped and physically in shape and mentally as well to get into the black belt test, because it was a long ass test and it was going to be gruesome. It was, I believe, 11 hours long, so that's long. So I remember going into my black belt test. It was on April 30th of 2011. The first 2.5 hours or 3 hours were so intense. I think this is how it started. My master made me run around the school at least 20 times. So that would like end up as like 2 miles at least. And it was non-stop. So you had to run really fast and you couldn't stop. Otherwise you would take points off. Then they made you do push-ups, sit-ups. They made you do all that cardio work and all of that. Then jump rope, this and that. And then we had a 2-minute break. Then she made us do one of our forms. Alright. 2.5 hours later, she gave us a 5-minute break. That was when the most important part of the belt test was going to be ready. And we went to a park, a nearby park, and we had to run 6.5 miles nonstop under an hour. And we had to finish before the hour was expired. And it was like the 10 of us, I believe. I was the third one to finish. I believe I was like 52 minutes or 53 minutes done. So I had 7 minutes to spare, so I had an extra time to take a break. But I remember my feet were so swollen and it was like painful to walk, and it was just crazy. And I remember I was sweating from head to toe. My shirt was wet, and it was crazy. Then we went back. We had a lunch break, and then the rest of the day we were just working out, doing the rest of the parts of the test. And she made us spar, wrestle, do all that crap, all that stuff. And in the end, I felt pretty good because I finished it. It was gruesome. I remember the first 4 hours were really hard, but then afterwards, I felt really good. I felt very energetic. I felt alive, so it was not a problem after that. And I remember when I came back home, I took off my shoes and I checked my feet. I broke 2 of my toenails, and my feet were big. It was swollen. I was like, what the hell? I didn't even know it happened. I mean, I just went for it, and then my back was full of bruises, and my chest was very, very swollen. Not swollen, but it was like very stiff. I couldn't move my arms because of the push-ups we had to do. And I remember I had a lot of bruises on my face as well because of the wrestling we had to do. So it was gruesome. So if you think the black belt tests are easy, hell no. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Anyways, and he also asked, will Kurt Angle ever come back to the WWE? Well, Kurt Angle's been teasing about his return in the WWE now that he's in the TNA Hall of Fame. So I would say, yeah, he would probably come back only because he would want to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Simple as that. Anyways, WWE4196XX asks, what are your thoughts on Chris Benoit? Well, it's funny that you would ask this right now because this happened like 6 years ago where he passed away. But if I would have to sum up my thoughts on Chris Benoit in a short amount of time, I would say that Chris Benoit was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I used to look up to him. I was really upset about what happened, and I got even more upset about what people say about him. You got to understand, he had brain damage. Now, I'm not trying to defend him. I'm not trying to say that what he did was not wrong. What he did was absolutely, positively wrong. I totally disagree on the fact that he murdered his son and his wife. I wish he hadn't done that because I wish that they could have shown his careers and the highlights of his careers over and over again to the fans of today, just like how they do with Eddie Guerrero or Mr. Perfect or all the other wrestlers that passed away recently. So Chris Benoit was one of the best, and I wish I can see him again. I miss him too. So it's an emotional topic to talk about. So, and do you think this year's Money in the Bank and SummerSlam will be good? Well, judging by the build that they've been doing since Payback, I think it will be a great pay per view, both Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. So, well, I just have to watch. Ross Gray asks, "What's your favorite faction of the PG era?" Either the Nexus or I would say the Shield, because the Shield seems more serious. You know, when the Nexus first arrived, there was like 8 people. Then like a week later, there was 7 people. Then about a month later, there was like 6. Then 2 months later, they were all gone. Like, it was just not very impressive. You know, at first they were really unique. It's kind of like the NWO. They had too many people, but then they just fell down. The Shield, on the other hand, there's 3 people. All 3 of them are fresh. All 3 of them are equally talented, and neither of them can shine over the other. And they all have an important role in the company. That is what makes a good faction. So if they keep this up, the Shield will be a total success. So the Shield is probably my favorite faction of the PG era. Random WWE 1043 asks, after watching the latest episode of Monday Night Raw, June 17, 2013, are you looking forward to what WWE's got in store this summer? Well, yeah. That's a definite. I mean, RVD's return, Brock Lesnar and CM Punk, Dolph Ziggler probably having a match with Alberto Del Rio for the world title, probably even going to win it with that ultimate babyface victory that, you know, babyfaces usually get. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. And then John Cena versus Mark Henry, that would be awesome too. I love the fact that Mark Henry, he pranked us all with his emotional speech about his retirement, and then out of nowhere just slammed Cena. That was like an epic moment. And, you know, that just shows how much I respect Mark Henry. He is a great worker. He knows the business inside and out. So you got to give credit to the man for that, you know. So that's alright. And he also asked your thoughts on the Shield. Like I said, it's my favorite faction of the PG era. I think that explains it all. I like how they've been having the Shield go onwards with their undefeated streak, have them hold the titles, bring back some credibility within the titles, and the division as well. I think that they could keep this up for another few months or a year. I don't know how they break it up, because, you know, it's going to be really tough to do that. And I hope they don't do that either, because I know that once they'll break up, they might disintegrate, just like the Nexus or the Core or whatever you want to call them. So I just hope that this will continue for a good amount of time, and it's a great idea that they've been really been enhancing their roles in the company. So definitely a thumbs up for that. Anyways, and your favorite match of all time, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 12. When do you think Taker will stop with WrestleMania, and who should be his last opponent? Well, looking at Undertaker's condition, you know, his health condition, I think that his last WrestleMania should be WrestleMania 30. I think that should be his last WrestleMania. How fitting would it be, the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania? Although I know WWE would want their top dog, The Undertaker, to come back every other year, and, you know, have him face every other wrestler every year at WrestleMania, have it keep going for a long time until Taker dies or something. But the thing is, you have to understand, there comes a time when somebody has to, you know, hang up their boots and, you know, walk away. That's the same thing that Stone Cold Steve Austin did 10 years ago. It's really hard to say that. It's been 10 years since Stone Cold wrestled. And, you know, he might come back for one more match, but the thing is, that just shows that you have to separate fiction from reality. Undertaker is not as fresh as he was 10 years ago. I remember I started in 2001 when I first started watching wrestling. The Undertaker was a totally different man than he is today. Today I see a man who desperately needs to hang up his boots. He looks tired. He's not as active as he used to be, so I hate to say this, but he's had to retire. And if he would have to retire sooner, it would be at WrestleMania 30. Against who? Well, it would be very fitting if it was against Kane, his own brother. Have Kane win, or have Undertaker keep up with the streak. But if Undertaker has to win no matter what, which I agree with, that concept, then I think that he should face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. That would be an epic match. Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker would be an epic match. I mean, they've had some matches back in the Ruthless Aggression era, in the 2002 era, and they've had some great matches. But I think that Undertaker and Brock can have one more good match at WrestleMania and have Undertaker win it, and then have Undertaker to walk away. That would be awesome. And then have Undertaker be inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. That would be very, very epic. So yeah. Next question is from the WWE. Is from WWE The Shield. What do you think of the current product of the WWE in 2013? Well, I already answered that twice, I believe, and the answer is that the product of the WWE has been improving very gradually, but it's going to be improving very, very quickly now because of the brilliant ideas they've been doing. You know, RVD returning, then Brock and CM Punk, and then Curtis Axel, the IC champion, the Shield, and John Cena and Mark Henry, and then you got the Divas division's kind of improving little by little as well. So I think, and don't forget Dolph Ziggler and Alberto Del Rio, that could make up a great rivalry as well. So I think they're doing a very good job with the product, so I'll give it a thumbs up. Alright, and I believe this is my last question. Myers1122334 asks, well, that's a really long username. Anyways, he asks, why will you ever go to a WrestleMania event? Well, I would love to. But if I would have to choose, I mean, like, I was expecting to go to WrestleMania 30 because I thought it was going to be Madison Square Garden. You know, every 10 WrestleManias occur at Madison Square Garden. It's a tradition. However, for some reason, this time, you know, I guess the WWE decided to change that and have WrestleMania 30 occur in New Orleans. And I was so upset. You know, I could have gone to WrestleMania 29. But at the same time, I'm actually happy I didn't go because WrestleMania 29 was a big letdown for me. So, WrestleMania 31, it depends. You know, if it takes place anywhere near New England, you know, if it takes place in New York or Connecticut or New Jersey or, you know, Boston, I highly doubt Boston. I will definitely go. I'll try my best. I don't care what seat I'll get. I just want to go there at WrestleMania. At least once in my life, I want to go to WrestleMania because as a fan, I think it's a must for me to go to WrestleMania. I mean, I see on YouTube guys going to WrestleMania 4 times in a row, and I'm like, wow, I've never been there once. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been to many live events. I've had great seats. I've had great moments and all that stuff, and I'm thankful for it. But I think that as a true wrestling fan, I must go to WrestleMania at least once. And if I want to have anything to happen at WrestleMania, I would want to see The Undertaker perform, because that would be one of the things that you would have to tell your kids when they watch wrestling, that I saw The Undertaker perform at WrestleMania. That's a very good accomplishment as a fan. So for those of you who watched Undertaker face the past 21 wrestlers at WrestleMania, well, you've been very lucky. So yeah, anyways, that's my Q&A, guys. I'm glad I finished it. Whew, I've been trying to, you know, organize this in a while, and I did it. And I'm glad that you guys sent me your questions. I'm very, very glad. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys are what make me make the you guys are what inspired me to make videos every single time. You know, otherwise I really wouldn't care about making any videos. But you guys are there for me, and that's why I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this took a really long time, and it's going to take a really long time to upload as well. And I know I'm wasting even more time, but what can I say? I love doing that. And, well, not wasting your time, but wasting my time is my job. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And remember to comment, rate, and subscribe. I'm not going to be making a Q&A video in a while, that's for sure. It takes a lot of work to do so. But if you guys want me to do some other videos, something unique, something different, just please let me know. Especially not really into wrestling. I'm willing to do it, you know, CSI or Family Guy, whatever. You guys just comment below and I'll do it. So there'll be more videos coming up sooner or later. But that's all. That's basically it, guys. And I'm not going to waste any more time, so I'll see you guys next time. Peace.